If you want to strip human survival down to its rawest form, don't start with tools or hunting, start with sleep. Long before permanent shelters, before stone walls or even dependable caves, early humans still had to close their eyes every night without being eaten, frozen, or driven off by weather. Sleep was the most dangerous part of the day. You are immobile, unconscious, and defenseless. The fact that early humans survived this phase at all tells us something crucial. They did not wander until exhaustion took them. They chose sleeping places carefully, using landscape, vegetation, and social structure as substitutes for architecture. What follows is not speculation built on romance but a pattern that appears again and again in archaeology, primatology, and survival biology. They began by avoiding the ground whenever possible. Tree-based sleeping did not vanish with our ape ancestors. Early hominids likely used elevated sleeping positions long after they could walk upright. Modern primates do this to avoid predators, insects, and ground dampness, and there is no reason to assume early humans abandoned an effective strategy overnight. Large branches, forked trees, and sloped trunks offered platforms where a group could cluster. Height reduced risk more than any wall could. The modern application is straightforward. Elevation matters. Even a small rise off the ground reduces exposure to predators, cold air pooling, and moisture. When trees were not available, terrain selection actually replaced height. Early humans, slept on slopes, ridgelines, and natural rises rather than down in the valley floors. Cold air settles in low areas, so do insects and predators that are following water sources. Sleeping just slightly uphill provided both warmth and visibility. Archaeological sites show repeated occupation of these kinds of locations, suggesting they were preferred resting places rather than just random camps. For modern survivalists, this really translates into choosing sleeping sites above drainage zones and cold sinks, even when you're building nothing at all. Vegetation was used as both bedding and barrier. Grasses, reeds, leaves, and branches were layered beneath and around sleepers. This served multiple functions. It insulated from ground cold, reduced moisture transfer, and created a physical and sensory barrier against crawling insects and snakes. Some plants, when crushed, actually release oils that deter pests. This isn't just guesswork. Ethnographic studies show continued use of such plants in hunter-gatherer societies. Applying this today involves, identifying dry, fibrous plant material and using it thickly beneath the body before even considering any overhead cover. Social sleeping arrangements actually replaced walls and doors. Early humans slept in groups, often in circular or semicircular formations. Adults would form an outer ring, with children and vulnerable individuals protected inside. This configuration really increased collective awareness. If one person stirred, everyone stirred. Predator deterrence didn't rely on strength alone, but on noise, movement, and numbers. Modern wilderness safety studies confirm this effect. Groups are less likely to be attacked than individuals. The lesson, honestly, remains relevant in any high-risk environment. Fire, when present, was not always central. Early fire use was sporadic and opportunistic. Before reliable fire-making, humans slept without flames more often than with them. Instead, they relied on positioning near natural windbreaks such as rock outcrops, fallen trees, and dense vegetation. These features reduced convective heat loss and blocked weather. The modern equivalent is using terrain as shelter rather than constructing elaborate structures that take time and energy. Sleep timing was another survival tool. Early humans likely slept in shorter intervals, with individuals rotating between light sleep and alertness. This pattern persists in some traditional societies today. Continuous deep sleep is a luxury of safety. Fragmented sleep increased survival odds when no physical shelter existed. For modern applications, this suggests that vigilance, even if it's imperfect, is better than just assuming safety where none actually exists. Body orientation really mattered. People slept curled up, which reduced the surface area exposed to the elements. Extremities were tucked inward, and bodies were positioned to face away from the prevailing winds. These are, instinctive behaviors that get reinforced by experience. Anyone camping without shelter today will find that the same positions just kind of emerge naturally as the temperature drops. What stands out across all these strategies is intentionality. Early humans did not wait for shelters to exist before sleeping safely. They used what the environment offered and, substituted knowledge for construction. Elevation replaced walls, vegetation replaced bedding, social structure replaced doors. Terrain replaced roofs. For historians, this challenges the assumption that shelter was a prerequisite for expansion. Humans spread across continents long before architecture. For survivalists, it's a reminder that the first shelter is not built, it is chosen. If you value this kind of grounded look at how humans survived before technology stepped in, go ahead and subscribe to Strange History. Share this with someone who thinks survival begins with gear, and keep studying the past. Our ancestors slept safely long before they built, then they Sebotferi onnen de say metin bacon netsker denny abba ben summer per nitro dane per main anetin bane. And they left us the blueprint.